Hello everybody, this is Jared, the non-alcoholic aficionado. I've got a pretty unique video here today. We've got Chris Cole from Hill Brewing in Shakopee, Minnesota, and we're going to be doing a little bit of a brewery tour, but kick things off initially here with some tasting of some of the NA beers here at Hill. So, Chris, you want to maybe give a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. I guess I've been in the beer industry I've been a beer enthusiast for many years, and I've been working with craft breweries in Minnesota for the last 8 years or so, specifically with Hill for the last 4 or 5 years, and then we had an opportunity to move to our new facility here, which you'll see a little bit more of in a second. A new taproom environment here next to Canterbury Park, and so I jumped in and became the owner as of July of this year.
Cool. And we've got some NA beers here to test out. You want to tell us about the first one here? I think it's the NA Strawberry Rhubarb Sour.
Strawberry Rhubarb Sour. So we always have 3 beers available in non-alcoholic versions. So we always have a sour, and we always have our Badger Snack Peanut Butter Stout, which we'll try in a second. And then we have our Longhorn Light Lager, which is really more of a traditional American light lager without the alcohol. So we always like to have some options and some style options, and some styles lend themselves better to the non-alcoholic spin on things. And sour, in particular, makes a great non-alcoholic beer.
Perfect.
So we
you
have.
Want to try?
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's good.
We one of our
taste the rhubarb at the
yes,
end. It kind of like finishes off with rhubarb.
We kind of say so. We always have with our sours. We pretty much have the alcoholic version, and we make a non-alcoholic version of pretty much every sour that we do. And we call this one of our pie series because it really does taste a lot
like pie.
There's a key lime pie that's on tap at the moment, and there'll be a non-alcoholic version of that as well.
Cool.
That really also does taste like the key lime pie.
That's awesome.
So the sours, one of the reasons why the sours and the stouts and the lighter beers lend themselves to really good non-alcoholic beers is they don't have the hoppiness. The hoppiness is one of the more difficult things to replicate.
Sure.
In a traditional beer versus a non-alcoholic beer. So we've had really good success and really good feedback on these 3 styles.
Great. So I'm curious, Chris, when it comes to the non-alcoholic varieties, what's the most popular one?
The Badger Snack Peanut Butter Stout.
Okay.
Definitely. And then followed, it's definitely 1, 2, and 3. So the stout, the sour, and then the lager is the 3rd.
Okay.
And I think people come in like wanting to enjoy a craft beer experience.
Yeah.
A stout, a peanut butter stout, and the sour really speaks more to the craft beer. And then if somebody does like a light beer without the alcohol, we have that as well.
I can see the light being for somebody that kind of just wants to have a beer, but maybe doesn't like the flavor, the full flavor aspect of a craft beer.
And it can be a little bit intimidating, just even walking into a brewery and I don't like IPAs, I don't like all these crazy things. Well, we have lots of options for those that are in that lane as well.
I'm really digging this. I didn't know what to think about the rhubarb aspect.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge rhubarb guy, but it's just it's kind of like an aftertaste. Just lingers a little bit after you swallow it down.
Yep.
I like it.
No, the strawberry really balances it out there, and you just get a little bit at the end. So
how does that work? Do you actually have like mashed up strawberry and rhubarb
we use,
in the mixture?
Yeah, we use purees.
Okay.
That go in towards the end of the cycle. We use a special souring yeast.
Okay.
For all of our sour beers, and then we can do just a straight sour or Berliner Weiss or something that's just a sour beer. But the fruitier beers in a sour are really the more popular.
Got it.
And we have lots of options. And as I mentioned earlier, we have a key lime version, we have a cranberry version, and then they all rotate through on the non-alcoholic style as well. So.
Cool. And are you seeing an uptick in people asking for these types of beers, the NA versions?
Yes, and that's one thing, especially with our new facility. We have a lot of new people coming that aren't necessarily hardcore craft beer drinkers that want to come in and try something like as I said, it can be a little bit intimidating coming in and seeing all these things on tap. But to know that we have a bunch of different options, we have we always have 3 non-alcoholic beer options available, and then we do have soft drinks available, and then we make some cocktails and mocktails as well. Both alcoholic and non-alcoholic versions.
Yeah.
And try to beef up the craft side of that too. So you're not just coming in and I don't like beer, so I'm going to have a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
You know, we have lots of great options for non-alcoholic.
Very cool. Do you have any like NA spirits that are intertwined with those mocktails, or is it more so like ginger beer and
it's more the flavoring, and so a lot of people will make cocktails out of hard seltzers.
Yeah.
We've gone a different route where we actually have a base that's neutral and non-carbonated to start our cocktails with.
Got it.
That makes a better cocktail because then you're not just putting a ton of flavoring in it at the end. It really is more of a mixture.
Okay.
So no, and especially having moved into this new location, as I said, we don't have as many hardcore craft beer people. We're serving the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And there's just we have something for everybody.
Because the old location was more of kind of like a niche spot. Like people had to kind of go out of their way to get to that, right?
My joke is that you were coming there because you really, really wanted to come there, or you were really lost.
Yeah.
Because it was in a very industrial area.
Yeah.
That nobody was driving by and saying, "Hey, that looks like a nice place. Let's stop in there." And it wasn't on your way to anywhere else either. So now we're in a fabulous new location, which I hope to show you in a minute here.
Yeah, for sure.
Right in the middle of a really exciting development here in the city of Shakopee.
I had never been over here. It seems like this is a really growing side of town.
There is, and there's definitely a master plan that we worked together with Canterbury Park and Greystone Construction to help build this neighborhood. And they wanted local community-based businesses to come in, and so they approached us, and we were looking for a better location, so we said yes for sure.
Perfect.
And then we share the building with a restaurant called Bravi's, a craft Mexican kitchen, which is fantastic Mexican food. They were also in a different location in Shakopee and looked for a better location. And when they talked to the two of us about doing something together, we were both like, yes, that's really exciting.
That's perfect.
So we get to share the space and share some customers. And then all around us, I'm looking out the window now, but there's the Canterbury Park racetrack, but there's an amphitheater going in. There's just a bunch of entertainment, residential, there's apartments and townhomes going up all over. And we're excited to be part of building that community.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Prior Lake.
Okay.
So I know the area pretty well, and I used to work at Mystic Lake Casino at the health club.
Yeah.
And Canterbury Park was always like, where we'd go and when we didn't want to go to Mystic.
Right.
But it was kind of in its own little area down here. There wasn't anything else.
No, this is
just Canterbury.
cornfields.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, now there's so much going on down here.
Yeah. It's a very intentional plan, and it's really exciting to be a part of building it.
Yeah. Very cool. So what's the, I know there's the element of the coffee component. I was looking up opening, like when you were open, it said 6 a.m. was like, the brewery's open at 6 a.m. I was like, whoa. Yeah. But that makes sense now with the coffee.
Yeah, so we were very intentional, and it says it like on our signs and on our shirts, beer, coffee, music.
Yeah.
Because I was talking about developing the community in the neighborhood. Well, coffee is also a part of that.
Yep.
And there's a lot of residential development going on around us. We want to be the place where people can come start their day and continue their day as they wish.
Yeah,
and we're passionate about beer, coffee, and music. And one of the things I say is they're informal, they're social, and they're crafty.
For sure.
And they help build that community experience and environment. And one of the things that I like to say is the sharing with the music part of it's the sharing of songs and stories.
Yep.
So you'll see in our taproom space, we have a big circular oval bar, lots of different gathering spaces, a stage with music, and it's that community sharing of songs and stories is the spirit of what we're trying to build here.
Very cool. So I'm curious, Chris, we talked a bit about the strawberry rhubarb. Could you maybe give us some background about the Badger snack and the Longhorn lager?
Sure. So Badger snack was introduced maybe 5 years ago as one of our flagship brands. So it's our Trader IPA is our #1 seller across the board in the marketplace. But Badger snack is a solid #2. And then as we were talking about styles that lended themselves to NA beer, Badger snack became an obvious candidate for that.
Yeah.
And then, with Badger Hill in our name and Badger Snack, this peanut butter is kind of snacky. That became kind of a little bit of a fun play on words. So there's a little bit of background on that. And then the Longhorn Lager, a lot of people are kind of wondering where that came from. And in a second, you'll see the actual Longhorn and the story behind that, because I like to have stories behind lots of things that we do. My family, and my father specifically, had a friend who was raising Longhorns, Texas Longhorns, purebred Texas Longhorns as a hobby. And then as they kind of semi-retired, they bought some farmland and started raising them as well. So in our family, we had a number of these Longhorns, and the grandkids got to name them, and it was always kind of a fun experience. We do brand them, and they are purebred Longhorns. And we had several of them mounted, and we were always kind of wondering what the heck are we ever going to do with all of these. And then as we were putting the brewery together and the plans together, it was like, hey, I've got a perfect spot for this Longhorn.
Yeah.
And then so we had a light beer that was called something different, but then it just, the alliteration, everything, a Longhorn light lager kind of became it rolled off the tongue pretty easy. And then when it went up on the wall, we're like, yeah, we're definitely going to do that. So that's actually become one of our best sellers in the tap room as a light beer, and then also as a non-alcoholic beer, because a lot of people like that. Just straightforward, light, easy drinking, American style light beer. So
cool. Well, I think what we're going to do now is wrap these up and go take a little tour of the brewery and the tap room area. So stay tuned for that.
So we always have non-alcoholic beer on tap as well. Much better drinking experience. So now we have the non-alcoholic Badger snack. Peanut butter stout. Pour a couple of those for myself and Jared. All right. They'll give me. All right. So this is the Longhorn of the Longhorn Lager fame. As I mentioned, we try and create different spaces with different senses and feels. So there's got a little bit of a lounge area, a little more intimate with the fireplace. If you want to watch a football game, that's here too. And then the Longhorn prominently featured. We wanted to make sure that the focal point of every great bar is usually the bar itself. People like to gather around the bar. A lot of places just have a long, thin, or a not very inviting bar experience. We wanted to make sure that the bar was the centerpiece of our tap room here. So we have a great big bar, plenty of opportunities to come and share our songs and stories together. So welcome to another great space as our music area. We say Badger Hill is home of the Death Star Disco Ball, which you see just passing the horizon there, the Death Star. This is another great place for the sharing of songs and stories. We have live music here most nights of the week. Tonight's Wednesday night. We do trivia every Wednesday night. We do some storytelling, and this is another great place to socialize and gather as a group. So this is the new brewery part. We like to show off the tap room, but we're also very proud of the new brewery that we have here at Badger Hill. We've got a 10-barrel brew system, which allows us to do a lot more varieties and turn things over a lot faster in our taproom environment. And then we have 10 and 20 barrel fermenters. It was really fun to build a new kind of state-of-the-art and really lay things out and design things how we wanted them as a brewery. So we're as proud as we are of the taproom, we're equally as proud of the brewery side as well, including the purple floor. We have to point that out as well.
Very cool.
The way we make our NA beers is we brew the full beer, including the same yeast, all of the same ingredients. It's really a fully made and fully mature developed product. And then we've worked with a company called ABV Technologies, which is in St. Paul, who has a unique process for removing the alcohol out of the beer. So through their proprietary process, I don't understand all of the science behind it, but we send the beer through. It removes the beer out moves the alcohol from the beer, and out the other side comes the delicious NA beer. So we're lucky to have a partner like that here locally. We've worked with them for several years, really since their beginning and since we started getting into the non-alcoholic beer category, and there's multiple ways to make non-alcoholic beer, but we found this to be the best one, as evidenced from the Badger Snack Peanut Butter Stout.